Will you please welcome to the stage, Stephen Ryan?
You know that feeling you get? That feeling you get right after you've had sex with a woman. So do I. I'm brilliant at sex. I rarely ever miss. Let me tell you about myself. I'm from Limerick. Normally gets better response in Limerick. Yeah, I'm from Limerick. A few years ago they tried to rebrand Limerick City as Fab City. After there was a spate of fabbings in the city. I myself was a victim of fabbing. They got me where it hurts, right in my dress sense. I suffer terribly from arachnophobia. It's not so much that I'm afraid of spiders. I just don't want to see them allowed to be married and be happy. I recently got my doctorate in history. That is to say, without getting too meta about it, I used to study history. The older I get, the more history I'm witnessing. I remember a long time ago, but apparently long-term memory isn't what the ladies look for in a man. I recently turned 30, and when I say I turned 30, I don't mean 30 lesbians changed their sexual proclivity because of my allure. No, I wouldn't do it to them. They're already a marginalised group in society. I have too great a sense of civic responsibility. No, what I really mean when I say I turned 30 is the far more obvious sense of the phrase. I turned 30 years of age. And it was difficult for me well, it wasn't so much difficult. It more or less happened overnight. I guess because I had the groundwork put in. But it was difficult in some respects turning 30. One of the things that got me was the things people said to me on my birthday, my friend Roger, we call him that because it's his name. My friend Roger, I play soccer with him. You should see this guy, he's just like Lionel Messi. Never pays his taxes. But he said to me, age is just a number, which is true, but it's the number we use to gauge how many years we've been alive and what we gauge mortality against. The other thing he said to me was, you're only as old as the woman you feel, which is blatantly untrue. Because if that were true, the BBC in the 1970s would have been like a creche. And Bill Cosby would be virtually immortal. Allegedly. But the other thing that got to me was the first time in my life that I actually felt old. I remember years ago, I remember back when I was a teenager, back when the world was my oyster. And as we all know, oysters are an aphrodisiac, which explains all the spontaneous erections I got around that time. But I remember back then, when Sellafield, the nuclear power plant, was considered a real threat to all our health. Does anyone else here remember this? Yeah? How scary was that? Thank God we stopped thinking about that. But it was difficult to turn 30. It was the first time in my life when I turned 30, I entered into a midlife crisis. Now I know 30 seems a bit young to enter into a midlife crisis, but I realise old age isn't for me. I'm too like James Dean. Except instead of fast cars, I've got cholesterol. Cholesterol gets a bad rap. It's not all about dying young and leaving undonatable organs. It's that and so much more. For instance, every time I go up a staircase, it's like a trip to Alton Towers. But I entered into a midlife crisis. I went through my file of facts of possible midlife crisis, my Rolodex rather, of possible midlife crises that I could enter into. And I decided that I was going to try lose weight. And by losing weight, I then extended my lifespan and reduced the whole midlife crisis to a mere diet. It was difficult losing weight. One of the things I did was I started running, and I was just running, generally Forrest Gumping it around the place. And a friend of mine told me maybe I should enter into a 10k race. Now I had never done this before. I didn't really know how to approach it. He said, just find a girl in yoga pants, let her set the pace. What he didn't know was I like a big girl. I like a girl who could make me seasick. So I let her set the pace. It took 3 hours. It was a pointless exercise. But I think that whole period of my life was just difficult generally. Like a few months ago, I broke up with my girlfriend. God, you're not empathetic at all. A few months ago, I broke up with my girlfriend. Aww. And there a few weeks ago, she made me move out of the house. But that's women for you, huh? Can't live with them without them noticing you're still there. Yeah, she broke up with me because I spent all my time on this app I downloaded to my phone. You know the one, Gotta Catch 'Em All, Tinder. I spent all my time on Tinder. Yeah, but I used to be considerably younger than I am now. But I grew out of it. 9/11 changed everything. In fact, I used to be the youngest person in the world, which out of a population of 6 billion people is no mean feat. But no matter how many solicitors' letters I send to the people at the Guinness Book of Records, they're not willing to recognise it as a record. It's the angriest exchange of letters I've had since I was duped into going to see a play called The Vagina Monologues. Because of its misleading title. But I was a gorgeous child. Oh, fuck it, lads, I was lovely. I used to have long blonde hair and I used to sit on the couch. I used to watch this program called Bob the Builder. Have you heard of this? Yeah. Bob the Builder, can he fix it? Bob the Builder shouldn't be attempting to fix it because he's a builder, not a repairman. And if he was unionised, this would not be an issue. And an entire generation grew up without any respect for demarcation. But I was a gorgeous child. Oh, fuck it, lads, I was lovely. And what's more, I knew it. I could have had any BBC presenter I wanted. And I'm not just talking about Jimmy Savile. Jimmy Savile made unrequited love to the world and its mother. No, I could have had one of those hard-to-get BBC presenters, like Jeremy Beadle, or Noel Edmonds. But you didn't come here this evening to listen to me talk about the imagined seduction of 1980s bearded BBC presenters by an infant. Or at least if you did, this is one of those rare occasions where you can go home satisfied. But it seems like everything is on the internet nowadays. No matter what it is you're looking for, all you have to do is go onto yahoo.com and Google it. Even love and sex is on the internet nowadays. God be with the days when you had to type 531-8008 into your calculator, turn it upside down, and use your imagination. But I recently met a girl, well, I say I met a girl on the internet. I started following her on Twitter. I could tell she was on Twitter because I was able to see the phone over her shoulder. Oh, lads, you should have seen the message she was typing. It would break your heart. She was suffering from the big C. Dyslexia. Her spellings were atrocious. And I'm a bit of a grammar Nazi. We're much the same as the regular Nazis, only put a full stop between the SS on our badges. But we hit it off. She told me she was an American girl. She told me she was 3/4 Irish, which is a perfect match for me because I'm 1/4 xenophobic. And we hit it off. We began sexting each other, which is much like real sex, only through the medium of text messaging. And we sexted each other. I'd sext her and I go, I think you're lovely. And she'd go, thanks, XXX. And I go, I wouldn't mind making love to you. And she'd go, bold, XXX. Something a bit off about her. Every text message she'd send me, she'd finish it with the number 30 in Roman numerals. But I asked her out on a date, and Now, I'll preface this by saying she was not the best looking girl in the world. She hadn't so much a face that could launch 1,000 ships, but more so looked like 1,000 ships had been launched with her face. And on her back she had a tattoo that said YOLO that had become so stretched that it only reinforced the concept of mortality in the reader. But I needed a good girl. I needed a good woman in my life at the time. I was coming out of a terrible bout of roid rage. The hemorrhoids left me terribly irritable. But I asked her back in the day, out on a date anyway. I asked her back on the date. She said yes. We only went on the one date. She said I was too intense. Could you imagine that? Me, too intense? No, she was wrong. I invited her back to my apartment. I live above a shop. I invited her back to my apartment. I came down to meet her. I put on my best suit, lads. I was looking sexy. I got my suit in a charity shop. I always do really well in charity shops. For some reason, people around my size keep dying young and having their clothes donated. But I remember it was early in the evening. The ground is wet from the dew. My neighbour, Rabbi Goldman, keeps pissing on my lawn. And while I was waiting for her, actually, these kids came up to me and they asked me to buy them cigarettes. Now, I'd normally say no, but then I thought, what would the people in the upper echelons of the Health Service Executive and the Department of Health do in my situation? So I bought them their cigarettes and charged them €5 extra per pack. But we hit it up. We went on the date anyway. I don't know how she construed it as being too intense. I mean, for starters, I gave her a banana. Nothing too intense there. And for the main course, I gave her a hot dog, and a carrot, and a cucumber, and an extra large gherkin. And for dessert, I gave her an ice pop. I don't know how she construed it as being too intense. Okay, folks, I'll leave you in this. Apropos of nothing, there's a woman in my town, and her name is Esther. And all the kids call her Esther the molester. Because she molests them. If you're going to molest children, Esther is a fantastic name to have. Because if your name rhymes with molester, nobody's ever going to believe the children. Ladies and gentlemen, I realise my comedy is a lot like Marmite, in that it's delicious. So you should have all enjoyed that. Folks, I've been Stephen Ryan, thank you very much.